Well, hello and welcome. It is my pleasure to be with you this morning, afternoon, or evening, whatever it is in your part of the world. And guys, look who's here. It's Chris Lema. It's the Chris Lema. You know you're good when you have like a the in front of your name, not the. It's the Chris Lema is here with us at Focus on Your Biz. And how cool is this? I'm super excited, and I know you guys all are as well. Let's dive in because we don't want to waste any of Chris's time. We want to get to all the good juicy details that he's going to share with us. But I wanted to ask you a couple questions first, Chris. For those in the gang who may not be super familiar with your work, I just asked you right before we started. I said, why do you do? Because I said, what's your link or your pitch? And he said, nothing. I'm just going to help. I'm just going to share. Like, don't you just want to give this guy a hug? Like, how cool is that? No ulterior motive, no nothing, just some gold to share with us. And I'm telling you, it is gold, because the reason I asked him here is because I think, as you know, I heard his talk at the Atarim conference, and it was like, you've heard, probably, if you've been in any of our other Thursday night chats, you've heard me mention it. And so I asked him if he would come in and share that with you, because I can't do it justice. And so Chris, tell the people what you do. Tell them about, give them the little elevator Chris Lema intro.
So I started working with the web when the web started working. Mm-hmm. So we're going way, way back. I've been at this a really long time.
Like instant messaging.
Like
you've got mail.
We had the third fixed IP network of the internet. So I started at Lawrence Berkeley National Lab, third subnet of the internet. And I had this ability to build, like we were building stuff, right, with HTML, and then tables, like, and then frames, like we were there for every bit of it. And then I started working with some very large companies, all names you know, from Microsoft and Borland and Macromedia that got bought by Adobe, to help them think about the web strategy, because we were doing web stuff before they were doing it.
I gotta
Microsoft.
Say, you look great for 79.
I'm 50, but I still don't always look 50. Depends on if I'm wearing like a backpack and a ball cap. But I started working back then, and we started building and trying to build solutions, businesses, things online, right? We built the first online education system, shared it with a group of guys out of Boston that became Blackboard, which is one of the longest and leading players in the online education space. So I've been doing it a long time. The last 15 years, I've been participating in a WordPress community, people who are building websites and then building businesses around it, and have helped many of the commercial products in that space. I built several companies and sold them off, and a lot of SaaS companies. And then about 5 years ago, joined a hosting company and built their managed WordPress and managed WooCommerce offerings. And in the midst of all that, I write every day over at chrislema.com, helping product companies and helping agencies grow. I run a conference for those WordPress entrepreneurs called CaboPress, which is a business conference, not a technical one, in Cabo San Lucas. And I'm on stages, and I go and I tell stories, and that's what we're going to do tonight.
So you run a business conference.
I run a business conference.
What kind of businesses?
These are predominantly plug-in companies, SaaS companies, and digital agencies that all kind of play in the WordPress ecosystem or touch it a little bit. You apply, so I invite you to come. But it's the CEOs of those companies. About half of them are product, half of them are agencies, and we talk business strategy. So it is not a technical conference. We talk pricing, or we talk contracts, or we talk about hiring, or we talk about risk mitigation, or we talk about product road mapping, or we talk about innovation. And I bring several of my friends together to kind of have these discussions. The crazy part is there are no talks. They are all discussions, and all of the discussions are in a pool. So you're hanging out in the pool in Cabo at a 5-star resort. Basically, I said, if I want to start a conference, which I think we're now 7 years in, I want to do it my way.
Coolest conference ever. Yeah.
It
You
is.
guys, is he speaking my language or what though? Like, that's why I started this Facebook group, Focus on Your Biz, because I was like, there's a Facebook group for every tiny little piece of code that goes into WordPress. There's every plugin, every theme, every speed up, every, hosting, blah, 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 blah. There's everything. What if we want to talk about the business of running a business? And so lately in our group, we've been having a lot of business chats. We do a Thursday night Zoom a lot of times where we get together. We don't record it or anything like that. We should consider maybe everybody moving into a pool and logging on, because I feel like that's a strong point. Like that's nice. But
we also only do the sessions from 9 to noon. So the entire afternoon is free and relaxed. Because then you've all been to conferences where info. You get to the end of the night and you're like, I'm exhausted and I don't remember anything. So I designed the conference specifically to be the conference I wanted to attend, right? And now it's the best.
What's the girl got to do to get an invite to one of these?
That's right.
That sounds amazing.
Right. I'll get you a link later, Stephanie. I'll get you a link.
So, okay. So now one of the things we've been talking a lot about is that it's what made me reach out to you lately is the selling process. We've been talking about selling to clients, the onboarding them, discovery, but like the thing that you talked about, I already told you beforehand. So break it down for us. Tell me when you want me to put your slides up. I'll get out of your way. I'll watch in the chat and see if anybody's got any questions for you. But we've already got a bunch of comments, but everybody's excited to hear what you've got to say. So I think I should just shut up now and let you go.
All right. We ready to get into it?
Let's do this.
All right. So let's start with the problem. Let's just have total certainty that we're on the same page. And that is that when we want to grow our revenue, when we want to drive growth in the business, we end up saying, okay, wait, I need more sales. And if I need more sales, then I need more leads. And so we shift ourselves into a funnel paradigm, right? It's the funnel thinking. It's, I need to buy Facebook ads. I need to buy Google ads. I need to start affiliate programs. And then after you do all that crazy work, then it's like, oh, wait, if they show up to the site, I also need the content in that funnel process, right? I need the lead magnet. I need the content upgrades. I need the newsletter signups at the bottom. And I need the prizes for the newsletter recommendations. And it's just on and on the work you have to do, because you're like, well, there's no way I could drive my revenue growth without more sales. And there's no way I could do more sales without more leads. And there's no way I can get more leads without a funnel. And that's the world that we're living in. But what if we're wrong?
Or is it?
Right? What if we're wrong? What if we've been looking at the problem through the wrong lens the whole time? That's what I want to challenge you with today. Right? So in order to do that, I'm going to ask you to ponder a question. And the question is this. I went to the Mercedes-Benz website and I went to their SUV section, right? So this is not all the cars. This isn't even exactly all the SUVs they have, because there's one more that is like twice the price of the last one. It's $76,000 one. There's a $140,000 one that's not on this list. But this is the mainstream SUV section. And when you look at these 6 SUVs, they all have 4 wheels. They all have 1 steering wheel. They all have roughly the same amount of seats. They all have 1 gas tank. And yet there's 6 of them. Why on earth does Mercedes think that it could build 6 slightly different variations of their product, ranging from $36,000 to $76,000, and get them all to play in the market? And if you've seen their commercial, they have these 6 all driving down the road together. And you're looking at them going, are those basically the same? And they're not. And the guy sitting next to you is going to go like, no, they're different sizes. And you're like, yeah, but they're not dramatically different sizes. It's not like one sells for 2 seats and the other one has 4 seats and the other one has 6 seats. And the other one has 10 seats. That's not the difference. These are mostly all 5-seat vehicles. And they mostly look kind of the same. And you go, how is it possible that they would create 6 different variations of roughly the same product? Now, before you answer that, let's think about going to Chicago in September, and you only want to stay at a Hilton. So you go to look it up, right? You pull up the map, you go to Hilton.com, you're like, Chicago, in September, and you pick a weekend and you go, okay. And they show you a map and there are 14 options. 14, right? And you go, wait a second. And they range, by the way, in price from $149 to $412 a night. And you start going, wait, this is kind of crazy. But you'll notice that some of these are off in another section, right? 412 is sitting out here in this, like out, and it's a resort, right? It has pools and it has another little bar in the pool that you can swim up to. It has a ping pong table and arcade for kids and families. And you go, oh, I get it. The resort costs $412, right? And over here at $149, it's 4 walls, a bathroom, a bed. And you go, yeah, but they all have 4 walls and a bathroom and a bed, right? And then you come down into this little area downtown and you're like, oh, well, part of the dynamic here is that some of these come with breakfast. Because if you're flying in for business, you're going to fly in, you're going to check in. The next morning when you wake up, you don't want to go traipsing around town to look for a place that's open for breakfast and then go to your business meeting because you'll be late. So instead, they go, oh, no, we have breakfast for you right here. You go, okay, breakfast is a little different and the pool is a little different. But seriously, $149 to $412? That's big variance and 14 options. And it's not, just to be clear, it's not 14 hotels. It's not 14 different kinds of hotels. It's not Marriott and Holiday Inn. It's 14 Hiltons. What does Hilton know? How is it thinking about the problem that suggests that they could put 14 slightly different variations of their same product in the same market and have a massive range of prices? What they know is that multiple offerings aren't bad. It's not like one is good and one is bad. Each offering is different and specifically designed for a different kind of customer. Now, I want to be clear, right? I'm not saying, whoa, you're an agency, you're trying to put stuff together, you should just sell more services. I'm not saying, oh, you sell web development, you should also add SEO. You do SEO, you should also add Facebook ads. That's not the case here. Notice, right? The examples I used were basically the same thing. Slight variations, different prices. Most of us don't do that. Oh, if you sell web services, if you build a website, you charge for the website. There's not a, like, again, look, if you look back at the data, right? We're talking about more than 100% difference from $36,000 to $76,000, from $149 to $412. These are not like, oh, 10% more. This is 100% more. So what are they doing? In order to introduce you to a different paradigm, right, which I call the ladder paradigm, and I want to move you away from the funnel paradigm, you need to look at the ladder, right? You need to look at it and you need to go, okay, what is it that a ladder does well, right? And how is it designed? And you go, well, the steps can't be too far apart. If the steps are too far apart, it's useless. If the ladder's too narrow, it can't hold me, it's useless. If the ladder's too short, right? My wife is a little bit shorter than I am. And she has a little like 3-step ladder that she keeps in the kitchen to reach some of the shelves. But we moved a year ago to a new house in a new state. And in this house that we're in now, she can't reach with her little step ladder. She can't reach the top shelf in the laundry room. And I'm like, you need a different ladder. She's like, but this is the ladder I always use. Right. But now it's useless to you. Because if you want to put detergent or other things up there, you need a taller ladder. Also, if a ladder's too heavy, and you've seen those, right? Super big industrial ladders. And then you're like, ooh, let's try and carry that in the house and take it upstairs. And you're like, nope, can't do it. So ladders have to be designed just right. But if they are, they're really useful. So everything you need to know to grow your business, everything you need to know to drive revenue growth comes from a ladder paradigm instead of the funnel paradigm. You don't need, and this is, if you take nothing else away from what I'm saying, right? You just land right here. You don't need 10 times more leads. That's what most of us live in. We live in a world where someone's saying, oh, you just need more leads. You need more leads. You need more leads. What if you don't? I don't think you need more leads. I'm going to tell you first. I'm going to end up telling you tonight about 3 of my customers. I coach some people, and the first guy that I coach is a course maker and an author. And he used to have one and only one offering, right? He first had a blog, had a lot of people come to the blog, and he decided he wanted to build a course. So he built the course, or I built the course for him, and we launched it into his site. And his main customer, the main rung of the ladder, was people buying a course. But after 2 launches, we had requests. Oh, what if I want my team to come to this? Now, there are some of you, or not even some of you, right? I know it's not you, but you know people. You know people who, when someone shows up to you and says, hey, do you have this? They say, no, I sell this. That's what I sell, and be gone, right? No, you don't do that. But you know other people. Those people kind of get upset when someone asks them for something that they don't offer. So my client is like, what do we do about this? I go, we sell them that. We sell them team access. He's like, but we don't have team access. I'm going to go build it. And so for the next launch, we launched with a team access. Now, mind you, the same video course, the same videos, the same workbooks. These were PDFs. Instead, we said, oh, we'll send you 5 or 10 logins, and we'll send you 5 PDFs or 10 PDFs. I want you to be very clear. My customer did not create any new content. He did not build anything new. He didn't add another lesson on Teams. Nope. Same product, slightly different feature, which was 5 people can log in, or 10 people can log in, or 10 people get an ebook, same ebook as before. And guess what? People bought. But there were other people who showed up and said, I can't afford your course. I can't afford it. And my guy's like, what do we do? I'm like, sell him the ebook. He's like, the workbook? I'm like, yeah, sell him the workbook alone for half off. Now, mind you, most of you think I would never spend, let's say $100 on an ebook, right? But if the course is $250 and you can't afford $250, and someone says, well, I'll give you the ebook, which is interactive. I mean, you can read through all the stuff and fill in the blanks. You can do that for $100. They go, yeah, sure. And people bought it for $100 when most of us think of an ebook as a $9 expense. But in the context, that step on the ladder was a perfect down step. So what happened? Well, his launches used to be open for about 2 weeks, and they used to make about $100,000. And he would do 3 to 4 a year. And we shifted when we added a step up customer and a step down customer. When we added those offerings, same products. We did not create anything else. I had to do a little bit of web work, but my customer did not change anything. And we went from $100,000 launches to $200,000. So we add $100,000 times, say, 3 or 4 launches is adding $300,000 or $400,000 to his business without him doing a thing. He didn't need 10 times more leads. He just needed a step up and a step down offer. Now,
did your guys' heads just explode, by the way? Because I think this is the part where my head exploded.
Yeah. You might go, well, that's a one-off, right? Like, yeah, you had a weird situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna go, nope, hold on. Let me tell you about another.
There's more.
There's another coaching client. And my coaching client here was selling leads. It's all he did was leads. He had one program, he sold the leads. So then we said, okay, your main customer has
there's some irony involved in this one, Chris.
It is, isn't it hilarious?
Selling leads while you're saying we don't need more leads.
That's right. And what's beautiful is he was selling a subscription plan. So you pay $2,000 a month, you get 3 leads, 5 leads, whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's all. So that's it. But there were people who were like, hey, I paid the $2,000. Could I pay you another $2,000 and get twice as many leads? And he's like, well, I don't know. I don't know that I can, I don't know that I can guarantee that I can produce that quantity of leads through our system, right? And I said, well, just sell it to him. Just sell it to him, but sell it to him instead of as a monthly fee, sell it to him each month that you have it. So when you have it, you sell it. When you don't have it, you don't sell it. He's like, so then we wouldn't be doing anything different. I'm like, no, you wouldn't. You just charge him more money. And he's like, do you think that would work? And I'm like, you could try it. And he goes, okay. But he also had, I said, do you have customers who show up and they're like, I can't afford your $2,000 a month program? He goes, yeah, all the time. I'm like, okay, what about, do you have leads that come in that are, they're not your qualified leads? They're, you know, like they come in and they don't want, you know, cause his lead program, you have to want, you know, you have to be ready to spend a minimum of say $5,000 a month or whatever. So there's qualified leads, but there were others that aren't yet at that level. I'm like, what are you doing with those? He goes, we throw them away. I'm like, you throw them away? I go, have you ever heard about furniture that was made out of sawdust? And he's like, what? I'm like, never mind. Let me explain to you, right? This is valuable stuff. He's like, what do you mean? And so we created a step down offer, one-off leads. Now, I want you to get this. He would take the leads that were not qualified yet, that weren't for his main audience, and he took these other ones and he put them in a list and he said, I'll send you these things, right, without the contact information, and you can buy any one of them, or you can buy all of them. You can buy, you know, one-off leads, and as many of you as you want can buy the same lead, right? Like if you want to compete for that lead, compete. I don't care, right? And he goes, so we're just going to send an email out? Like, that's it? We're just going to take the ones that came in that we were about to throw away and we just put them on an email and we send them out every day? I go, yeah, you think you could do that? How long would that take you? He goes, like 5 minutes a day. I go, would you like to make more? Would you like to make more money on 5 minutes a day? He's like, well,
yes, please.
Yeah. And we went, when we added a step up customer and a step down customer, we went from 30K a month to 50K a month, 20K a month times 12, right? And he didn't need any more customers. All the customers that he had, all the customers that he needed to drive the revenue were all there already. Here's the thing, right? You don't know if your customer would spend more with you because you never offered them anything else. And I don't mean you never offered them another service, right? Well, I can't offer them SEO because I don't know SEO, or I can't offer them Facebook ads because I don't know Facebook ads. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about understanding your space well enough to know what is a step up and what is a step down. So this is the ladder paradigm. And the trick that you see on the right corner there is the trick is not just to build a single set of options for a single ladder. If you do your segmentation correctly, you'll also be able to build adjacent ladders, which is crazy talk, because it means when someone comes to you, you built your ideal customer. This is my ideal customer. But you know this. You know that there are people who show up and they're not your ideal customer. And what have you been doing? You've been likely telling them no. Or you've been sending them away, or you've been making it harder, or you've been saying yes, but at your current prices, which means you're kind of frustrated, right? Mm-hmm. You ever had that customer who is extra grace required? Right? You know what I'm talking about? That kind of customer who's like, they call you more often, they text you more often, and you're just like, why did I say yes to this
Extra grace required. Somebody write that down. That's a good one.
EGR, right? Extra grace required. And so what happens, right? We get upset. And more often than not, we get upset at ourselves because we said yes to this customer. But if you had offered that customer the next step up or the next step down, right? I had a customer once who wanted a website. At the time, if I got involved in building a website, because I'm a particular expert in certain kinds of sites, if I got involved in building an e-commerce or a membership website, the minimum price tag was probably going to be $40,000 to $50,000 minimum, right? And this customer showed up and they didn't have that budget. And I said, great. They also, I could tell, right? They were a little bit needy. I said, great. I think I can help you for $15,000. And they're like, that's amazing. And I go, yeah, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this tiny little portion. And you do the rest. And you do the rest, or you hire other people to do the rest. I'll do the little complicated part that I know how to do that no one else knows how to do. I'll do that. I'll get in, I'll get out. It took me a day and a half. How many of you would like to do 15 grand in a day and a half, right? I hope you're raising your hands because you're like, why not? And here's the thing. That's 15,000 a day and a half. Wasn't my upmarket customer. It was my downmarket customer, right? For my world, 15 grand wasn't a lot of money, but it was a great deal for a day and a half to get in, do the one thing, get out and go, that's it. You don't call me anymore, right? Because our box is done. Here's the other thing that happens. You often have an upmarket customer and it takes you all the guts that you have to be like, maybe I could go up to the next price tier, like whatever it is, right? You're just like, I don't know. Like when someone asks you, like, how much does it cost? You're like this. You're like, here's your whole face says, I've never done this before, right? You're nervous, you're anxious, whatever. But guess what? There's a customer above that. The 1%ers, the up market. I coach people, right? That's part of the thing I do. And I had a guy call me and goes, I want a coach. Now I normally do one coaching call a week or one coaching call every other week. That's my approach. This guy goes, what if I want a call every day? I go, are you insane? Like, do you know how much money that would be? I mean, at that point, you could hire a CTO. Like, you don't need me as a fractional. You could hire and he goes, nope, I want you. And so for 1 year, this guy paid me to get on a call with him every single day at 10 p.m. because he was in a different time zone. So it was my 10 o'clock. My wife would be like, hey, we finished dinner. She goes, you going up for your call? I'm like, I'm going up for my call. She goes, it's crazy. This guy pays you that much. And I'm like, like in his world, he wanted the 1%. He like, nope, I don't want anyone else. I want you. And he's going to pay the money. And you go, okay. Right? We don't normally think of what we offer as ideal customer, upmarket customer, downmarket customer, and 1%er. We don't. And then we don't think of it as, well, this is my perfect customer, but also, actually, there are some adjacent players, right? But in order to do that, you really have to know segmentation. And segmentation is all about predictability. So if your segments aren't reacting in predictable ways, you have not defined your segment small enough, tight enough, right?
Chris, are you going to talk about the adjacent stuff now?
Yep.
Okay, good. Because I'm not real clear on what that is. So that'd be great.
Yep. So what you want to do is create swim lanes with micro segments. That way you look at your service in a different way. So here it is, right? Imagine that let's just imagine for a second that my core customer, my main customer, my very happy place is someone who wants to build a digital downloads website. So this is my customer. But what's an adjacent play? Well, if you're doing digital downloads, someday you might also want physical. Now, if you've gotten really good at digital, there's things about physical you don't know at all, right? Like, oh, wait, shipping and inventory. You're like, I don't know that at all. That's an adjacent customer, right? If you're doing digital downloads and someone's like, yeah, but what if I don't want them to download? What if I want them just to have a protected site where they can access stuff? You're like, oh, well, then you're talking about membership sites. And maybe you understand parts of membership, but also, God, there's like 30 different plugins out there to use in the WordPress space, and which one's the right one and which one will get you in trouble later. And you're like, I don't know, but that's an adjacent customer. You'll notice that these are not all that dramatically different. In fact, some of you have never defined your customer narrow enough to be able to say, this is a digital downloads customer. Oh, you're physical and digital commerce. Oh, you're a membership site. You don't have those swim lanes. You're like, oh, if you sell online, you're my customer. Well, if you define sell online as your customer, then you're going to have a very hard time having predictable responses to your offerings because everybody's different. But if digital downloads customer is your swim lane and a separate adjacent customer is physical and digital commerce and a separate one is people who want membership sites, you're going to suddenly have defined more narrow swim lanes, adjacent markets, and now you can start creating offerings that are specific and valuable to them. If you look at the chart, what you'll see is when a customer comes in, and this is fictitious, but let's just imagine it for a second. Customer comes in and says, I want a digital downloads, website. And I go, okay, so what you mean is that someone comes and pays you and they download a file. Yes. And I go, okay. Now, let's say I make up a number. That'll be $3,000. And they go, oh, okay. I go, now, I want to be super clear. You're not talking about someone who comes in and signs up for a membership and then has access to digital downloads, including potentially being able to get downloads that are now discounted even while other people can buy the download directly. Your members get it at a discount. You go, oh my God, that's so much better. I would love that. You go, that's $5,000. And they go, $5,000. Okay. I go, and by the way, I just want to be clear. You're not talking about, tens of, like how many people are coming to the website? Like 50. I'm like, 50 is no problem, right? 50 is no problem on either of those, right? But to be clear, if you had 100, 200, 300 concurrent people logging in at the same time, you're going to need a completely different solution. They go, oh, wait, how much would that be? Well, that would be 25,000. So you go, wait, so this was 2,000 or 3,000 and this was 5,000 and this is 20,000. You go, yeah, because you're talking about different problems, micro segments, multiple steps. This is Hilton and hotels in Chicago. One has a pool, one doesn't. One has a breakfast, one doesn't. We're not changing dramatically, but there's just enough difference that you're targeting a different segment in the space. Now you get the other person who comes and says, what, $3,000? No, I'm looking for something way cheaper. You go, oh, well, cheaper. Yeah, no problem. I can build something where you just have one page. You put all your files on that one page. You password protect that page, and then you just give people the password. They go, really? And you go, yeah, that's $500. And they go, that's perfect. You go, well, yeah, it's perfect until. And they go, what do you mean? What do you mean until? Well, until that guy passes the password out to everybody else. No, I don't want that. And you're like, right? That's why I was offering you this guy, right? Now, imagine you say to the same person, I understand we've been talking about digital and digital content, all that, but you're not selling any physical stuff, are you? So, I was thinking I might want to. I go, oh, hold on a second, right? The platform we use for physical is going to be different than digital. Like if you're even thinking of doing physical, then it's that's a whole different ballgame. And they go, tell me more. You go, okay. And now if this was, I don't remember what I told you in my fake, but let's say it was 2,000 or 3,000, right? This one starts at 5,000, which you're like, wait, that was 5,000. You're like, yeah, but you're over here at 5,000. This is 10,000 and this is 30,000, right? And you start seeing that you're like, oh my God, I can just play this out. I can build the ladders and I understand who the adjacent players are. And I have a script. I know how to move up and down the ladder because I'm an expert in the space of you know this already. When you build products, every one of your projects is slightly different. You just haven't categorized it. You just haven't put it into a box and defined what's inside and outside of scope. And when it's outside of scope, you've normally just said it's outside of scope instead of saying, nah, actually, it could be inside of scope at another rung in the ladder. So I'm going to tell you my third client, right? My third client started with maintenance. They did WordPress maintenance. And they were like, okay, this is what we do. They had one offering. And a lot of what I do when I coach is I work with people to help them build more offerings. This is part of my shtick, right? Is this ladder paradigm. And so I go, okay, let's talk about your step up customer and what we could offer them. And then your top shelf customer, what we could offer them. And let's go to an adjacent customer and what we could offer them. And then an adjacent step up, what we could offer them. And we started rolling out 5 offerings in the span of 1 year. In 1 year, we introduced 5 new offerings. We also grew their staff, because they had to deliver this stuff. But anyway, 5 new offerings. And their monthly revenue grew by 130%. They didn't just double their money, right? They double and then some more, right? Massive growth. I judge how well I'm doing as a coach by how quickly my coaching clients pay their invoice, right? I send an invoice and this guy, he has it paid in less than 15 seconds. And I mean every month for the last 2 years, right? Because he's like, done, pay the man, right? The last thing he wants is for me to ever feel like maybe he's not appreciative. He's like, no pay. When I said, hey, we're going to now start doing this other stuff, so I'm going to move your price of coaching up a little bit. He's like, done, whatever, like move it. I don't care, right? If I ever leave my job, right? He's like, just tell me that I get first right to hire you full-time over here, right? I'm like, yeah, I'm not leaving my job, right? I'm happy. But when you drive revenue like this, to your business, it changes everything. You're sitting here and you're going, you know, if you've been in the funnel paradigm, you're sitting here going, I need more of this, I need more of that, I need more of this, I need more of that. And I'm saying, no, you just need a different paradigm. You won't change a majority of your work. You will change your packages, you will adjust your pricing, but you won't change a ton of your work. You may add another body here or there to add some more services, all of it profitable all the time, because when you sell it, you're already making the money to bring in the bodies. But my point is, you will make more money and you won't need 10x leads. That's the whole point of the ladder paradigm. So when you're ready to add hundreds of thousands of dollars to your bottom line, and I'm not joking, hundreds of thousands of dollars to your bottom line, the paradigm shift you need to make is to embrace the ladder paradigm, right? Create more services with different kinds of customers who all have more needs. And that's
Chris, Rosie would like you to start using this. I think you need to start using this. It's Laddertastic.
Laddertastic. Okay, I will work on it.
It's totally Laddertastic, you guys. What happened?
Oh,
I looked away for 2 seconds and I like came back. I was like, oh no, it was quiet.
No, I think I just closed the slide, and because I was sharing it, it just
okay.
It just killed it.
Guys, is anybody else feel a little out of breath? Chris, you're awesome. Like my head wants to explode. Everybody already is. They're asking if there's a replay. Who has questions for Chris? There was hardly any comments during your things. I think everybody was just like listening. Everybody enjoyed it though. Kylie wants to know what happened with the 1% guy.
I charged him to be on calls with him for a whole year, and at the end of the year, I helped him hire an actual team, or through the course of the year, I helped him hire a whole team and got them trained up, and then I was able to step away. So he's doing well. He's running a very effective membership site that's making a lot of money, and he's a happy former client.
That's awesome. That was a tough client to give up, huh?
No,
although you probably wanted your 10 o'clock back after a while.
I'm more like, I think of my world as more like a counselor. Like, you want to get in, you want to help someone when they're in crisis or when they're struggling, you want to help them grow. And eventually you need to close it down, or else they feel like, are you fostering some kind of dependency so that I have to keep paying you? Like you go from them loving you, right? From them loving you to them suddenly feeling like maybe you're in it for you rather than me. So I close off almost all my relationships, right? At some point you just get to the point where you go, hey, this is good. If you get stuck somewhere else, feel free to come back. But that also drives those people to recommend me significantly, right? Because they're like, this guy's not about, like, he'll get out when he's done. Like, he doesn't need to hold on, right? So,
yeah. So, okay. So let me ask you this, Chris. We're doing, we have our little Thursday night chats, and I even put in the thing. I wondered if someone wants to start developing their ladder, how do you recommend that they start that? Because it's so, like, I almost feel like when you're in it and it's yours, it's so hard to see. But like when you're talking to that guy, it's almost like it's no duh. It's no duh consulting, because you're just like, you're just telling me the thing, and then I'm telling you right back, like, yeah, go do that. You know, like somebody's coming to you and being like, this guy wants something more expensive, and you're like, so do it. You know, like but like when you're in it, it's so hard to see.
Yeah. So there's definitely a dynamic where I will start many coaching sessions with people like, hey, what I'm going to tell you, you already know. And then I tell it to them and they go, oh my God, you're so right. I go, okay, now let's just break it apart and do the work. Right. Mm-hmm. But sometimes you don't see it in in the world you're in, because you're so there, right? You're so embedded. And that's where you're like,
so tough.
All I see is trees. I see no forest. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really tough. So what do you advise people though to start breaking down these little micro segments?
Yep. So what I would do is I would go, okay, like one exercise that I find to be helpful with folks is to say, okay, first let's go find your most profitable customers. So go back to the last year or two of all your projects and go capture the 5 or 10 that you made the most margin on. Right. So you were clearly in your sweet spot. You did the job. The job was good. You delivered. They were happy. You had good margin, good profit. Great. Now, what about those projects was all similar, right? What's the thread? Okay. Now you have your perfect client, right? Now you have the box that is perfect client. So then, and the work you did, here's the project. Is your perfect project for your perfect client. Now, have you ever done any projects for guys just like that or women just like that, but that you charge more for? And now because you're in a frame and you're thinking of those 10 customers, and you're like, oh yeah, there's these other 5 customers that we did these other, great. That's your box up. Ever had some like this that actually paid you less? You're like, no, we threw them away. You go, okay, that's fine. But that's a new opportunity to start thinking about what would you do? And you're like, you're right. We just passed that guy away. We sent them away. You're like, okay, let's start building the step down customer ladder. What's the 1%? Some people have a 1% experience. Some people don't. So that's another part. But you always, after you've filled out that first ladder, you always look, and it's amazing how often this happens. You look at the rest of your orders, the rest of your projects, the rest of your revenue history, and you're like, oh my God, we did so much outside of our sweet spot. You go, yes, you did. And that's where all your frustration comes from, right? Your frustration comes from not the 10 customers that were like, God, everything about this is just aces. It's perfect. It's because this one looked like that one, but in the end, it wasn't. And you go, great. Tell me what was different. Let's start building the adjacent ladder over here. Or, well, it was different this other way. Well, let's build the adjacent ladder over here. And you start filling this in, which also means because you now know what was frustrating about it and what was extra about it, you can start defining what those rungs are by saying, oh, wait, right? Like the first time one of my coaching clients went from digital commerce to physical commerce, like e-commerce, but with physical products, they were like, oh my God, taxes and inventory and, like this was crazy. Like I had shipping, right? Like, and you go, just make an adjacent ladder and charge more. And they're like, what? You go, how much do you charge for a regular digital e-commerce site? Well, that's all I've been doing. Great. How much you charge? 15,000. Okay, great. So on this other one, how much would you have to charge to make it make sense? He goes, easily 5,000 more. Great. 20,000. Put that as your, can I do that? Of course you can do that. Why couldn't you do it? Just if you're in this lane, it's 15. If you are an adjacent customer over in this lane, it's 20. And then if you go up, now it's 25, right? And you just start building the ladder and the map. And then you have to look at it and go, okay, can I get comfortable with this, right? Because that's the other part. We normally get really insecure about all these different price points. And you're like, no, you got to get really comfortable.
You got to get comfortable with it. The one thing that I'm thinking, like I'm already sort of thinking ahead to like, if I'm going to start drawing out my ladders, how do you determine, like I've got my little sweet spot figured out. And I've got somebody, so say in that example, somebody that is selling digital products and they want to add physical products. What makes that adjacent rather than an upsell?
It's a great question. So it may not be. It may be a step up versus to the side. It depends on the kind of customer, right? It depends on when you're talking about the customer. Is it the same kind of customer who wants a little bit more, or is it a slightly different kind of customer who wants something different? So when you think about the Hiltons, the person who is a business traveler who needs breakfast downstairs is a different kind of customer than the one who comes with a family and wants the resort. Different kind of customer. So you have to do the work, right, of going, hey, is this customer who goes from digital to physical, are they the same kind of customer who just wants to add one more feature? Or do I end up attracting a different kind of customer who wants something different? And
super interesting.
That's the work you have to do.
Yeah. All right. Andrew Palmer is in the chat. He's got a question about you, Mr. Lema. Do you do your coaching business out of your normal business hours? And how does that affect your life-work balance? Or do you even have a life-work balance?
All right.
It sounds like you work a lot.
I do work
and
a lot.
you speak, you told me before COVID, you were on a stage once a month too.
At least. Yeah. Okay. So first of all, hi, Andrew. Good to see you. Second of all, I do have a work-life balance, but I don't have it the way many people do, in that I use a lot of time blocking. So I lots of ways to manage time, but I think of my work-life balance as ebbs and flows, right? Which means I have periods with a lot more work and periods with very little work, and like that's good news for me, right? Like so we all have a base of work that we're doing, and that's just that, and that's my day job, right? But my coaching will ebb and flow, my building will ebb and flow, my speaking will ebb and flow at different rates. So there are weeks or seasons of the year where I'm in like go mode. These 3 weeks are just going to be crazy. But then I'm going to take a vacation and I'm going to do nothing. Like when I go on vacation, either my phone stays at home or all the work stuff comes off my phone. Like the apps are Slack is off my phone.
Wow.
Yeah. Like when I go on vacation, you can't reach me unless you know my personal number. And I do that also because I want my staff to know that vacation is vacation. Like I'm not going to text you in the middle of your vacation, be like, hey, can you help me with this one thing?
Yeah.
So in terms of Andrew's other question, which is when I coach in the mornings and in the late afternoons. So my day job starts at about 8:30 and goes to, like 5. And then my coaching is typically 7 or 8 or 5 or 6. Every now and then it's 10. But I keep
if the price is right.
Yeah, if the price is right. So I keep my coaching outside of my day job window for the most part. Every now and then someone's like, I have an emergency call where we're trying, they want to buy my company. And I'm like, okay, let's sit down and have a call. But most of the time the calls are in the mornings or the late afternoons.
Good. All right. I don't see any more crucial questions happening. I know that a lot of us are going to be thinking about this and sketching out our ladders, probably starting tonight. Thank you again so much for coming. If folks want to learn more about you and watch more of your talks, I know you've got a very active YouTube channel. Is that one of the best places to go? Is chrislema.com the place to go?
Yeah, the YouTube channel is great, and chrislema.com has a bunch of blog posts on it. That's where I send most people, right? I put out a post every day. And so there's a lot there that you can get for free, right? No coaching required. You just go and read and learn.
But yeah, by the way, guys, in addition to having a full-time job, doing coaching before and after, he also blogs every single day.
Yeah.
Every single day. That's amazing to me. Kylie asks, what is your primary business then?
So I have a day job, and that generates about, I get paid well, but I have a day job that generates about 50% of my revenue. I generate another 40% of my revenue via coaching. And then I have another 10% that is tied to events, whether it's my event, CaboPress, or whether it's speaking on stage in places where they pay me. So 3 main revenue streams. I also have a 4th small one that is affiliate revenue from the website from some of those blog posts.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a 5th, but I'm not paying attention to it right now. So
you're a busy guy.
You're
a busy guy, and I cannot tell you how grateful I am that you've taken an hour to come and spend it with us. For those watching or listening live, we are going to do another hangout on Zoom. The link is in the chat. Chris, you're of course welcome to join us, but I know you got a lot going on too. And subscribe to the channel. We're going to do more webinars and things like that. But this has been this is my 2nd time hearing it, and I might need a 3rd. It's because it really is a shift in the way of thinking. And it's so powerful. And I think this is something that is so beneficial for the folks in this group, just by knowing a lot of them personally and some of the things they're struggling with. And so what you did here today is going to help people. You're an awesome guy. Thanks so much for coming. And we'll see you guys all later.